Skyrim is a game which offers an unlimited amount of modding possibilities. And over the few years I've been making videos, I've had a fascination with just how far we can push this 10-year-old game in order to provide the player with a completely fresh way to play Skyrim in 2022. So today, we're going to do exactly that, by replicating one of gaming's most beloved monster-filled worlds, and offering a brand new playstyle, creatures, quests, and overall atmosphere to merge spheres to transform Skyrim into the vast wonders of the famed Witcher world. And so we'll begin our transformation with the very environment itself. We'll start with the ENB and weather mod, and for this video we're looking to improve the look of the game and also offer a better colour palette. And this is where the combination of Azurite Weathers plus Picho ENB serves to provide a highly good looking but relatively performance friendly base overhaul to the game's visuals and weather patterns. To provide a better and more diverse grass and landscape coverage, we'll be using Folkvangr, and this mod combined with nature of the Wildlands, which completely reimagines Skyrim's forested areas, creates a more wild and unfamiliar sandbox for our witchering world to take place in. And together, combined with our weather and lighting mod, we've already begun to transform Skyrim into something that looks much more wild and unkept, to create a landscape and environment that can alone offer a brand new experience to adventuring throughout the province. But the final mod we're going to add to this visual list is one which tackles the very bridges and roads themselves. And while being currently a work in progress, Northern Road sets out to achieve exactly what we want from a Witcher themed world, offering uniquely rustic styled bridges, which also changes the roads and paths themselves to be more natural and dirt filled, creating a more believable, and with these other visual mods, a more fitting medieval fantasy overhaul to the entirety of Skyrim's landmass. Now that we've created a good visual base for our Witcher world, it's time to turn our attention to the gameplay mods included in this video, in order to create a combat and movement system that mimics that provided in The Witcher 3. True Directional Movement is a mod which mainly does three things: unlocks directional movement in combat, allowing you to move and attack in any direction, introduces floating health bars above each enemy, along with the ability to target lock on, similar to most modern combat games. Next we'll cover the animations, starting with the mod I Have the Power, which will change our two-handed idle stance to be similar to that in The Witcher. Leviathan Animations can be used to cover a wide base of all other attack movement, while then being overwritten with the Witcher Greatsword Forward Attack animation mod, along with a mod by the same author which covers the power attack animation to create a more spinny moveset. But now it's time for our dodge mod. And for this setup we're going to use the Ultimate Dodge mod, as it allows for both roll dodging and step dodges, and we can also replace the front step dodge with the spinning Witcher 3 E3 dodge, which will lead us into our next third person combat mod. Smoothcam allows for a modern third person camera with hundreds of presets available to fit your preference. And finally, as far as combat is concerned, we're also using Ultimate Combat, which is a full integrated combat overhaul which alters the enemy AI behaviour, allowing for more dynamic and calculated combat engagements. This means fights will be more difficult, calculated, but less spammy. But now there is one final area we need to cover, and that's the HUD. For this video I'm using a combination of the Customizable UI replacer, TrueHUD and Nordic UI, to create a visual look that makes you truly feel like you're playing The Witcher 3. And to really nail that feeling in, the final gameplay mod is Better Third Person Selection, a mod which allows you to select items and activators from a proximity selection almost exactly as you would remember from The Witcher. And together, combined with the other gameplay mods, we have created a pretty similar system for moveset and combat that not only enhances the vanilla experience in a dynamic way, but also mimics the look and systems introduced in The Witcher 3. But what good is a new combat system without any monsters to slay with it? Now, The Witcher is famous for its large variety of monsters, spirits and unfriendly humans, so it's only fitting we take a look at pretty much every single Witcher inspired creature mod in order to achieve the same feeling within our game. And there will be some extra creatures which will be included in another mod at the end of this video, but for now, we're going to focus on the individual mods. Each of these can be found located in fitting areas to their species, and often can come in a variety of different variants for each creature type. And so I thought we would go through them in the only fitting way I could imagine for a Witcher themed video: the Witcher's Beastery. First we have Folkvangr, a creature which can be found skulking around misty and marshy areas. Ghouls, on the other hand, are small pest-type enemies which can be found in caves and festering around corpses. Neckers, similarly, are small pack creatures which aim to bombard their prey during battle. While water hags are more powerful yet solitary creatures who infester around their swampy abodes. Succubus are on the surface friendly creatures who might ensnare their victims into a trap. And Arakas are giant insectoid creatures who can pose a deadly venomous threat if encountered. Similarly, giant centipedes can occasionally erupt from the dirt in order to feast on an unlucky soul, while the spirits of the old gods can be rarely encountered in lessions around the deepest of woodlands. But one of the more fearsome encounters can be found in areas of great torment, where the tortured spirits of the rotten Maidens remain to forever ensnare passerbyers. Yet on the flip side lives the cockatrice, giant flying beasts who fell from the sky. While dark demon spirits such as the Hymn can be found on the most vulnerable of souls. Vampire beasts can offer a terrifying encounter when ran into in the darkest of nights. And ice titans can too rarely be discovered guarding their northerly territories. And the final creature is the Chard, a great demon beast who have often been seen around the Reach. And each of these creatures now really begin to bring our lands more in line with the Witcher world. One of the most standout features of all Witcher games is, in my opinion, the armour. It's what defines a Witcher school at first glance, and all really reflect different class types for any type of player. So in this segment I've picked out a whole bunch of the best Witcher themed or direct recreations of armours, in order to give you a comprehensive arsenal of armour to find or craft, or upgrade along your playthrough. We'll begin with the Kaer Morhen armour, which is included as part of the Windsong immersive character overhaul. Additionally, the mod comes with another more casual set which is named Geralt's armour. For some standalone uniques, we can use the Ursine armor mod that comes with two different variants in a heavy set, and an alternative light armor set, which equally keeps to the theme in an elegant way. Next is the Ciri outfit, a mod to introduce a female set styled after Ciri's famous clothed armor. And another Ciri and Yennefer armor pack can be used to provide both the alternate Skellige version of Ciri's set, and allowing you to also adorn Yennefer's alternate black raven feathered garb. And on the topic of black armour, we have the Tesha Munda armour set, which provides an exquisite plated knight adornment. The Armour of Intrigue is a mod which directly takes inspiration from The Witcher 2. And our next mod is a huge Witcher 3 pack which includes the following: Lambert's Witcher gear, all levels of Ursine gear starting with the regular, enhanced in order to provide some more protection, superior for those who advance far enough to start meaning business, mastercrafted, which is one of the highest tiers in the game, and Grandmaster Ursine armor for the endgame level player. The mod also includes enhanced Griffin gear, along with a mastercrafted version to upgrade as you go, its own variant of the Kaer Morhen armor, and a darker, further upgraded version named the Viper Skull gear. Mastercrafted feline gear can also be obtained, along with the Hearts of Stone's New Moon Thief gear. And of course, a Witcher game wouldn't feel right without woven armor. And my personal favourite, Manticore gear, can also be obtained. And for the most part, that's going to cover a bunch of the best Witcher themed armor mods that can be used with this setup. So now I think it's pretty important to turn our focus to the Witcher changes to the world and its activities. In order to really feel like we're living and breathing in a Witcher world, with many of the activities and systems that a Witcher game has, we'll need to introduce a bunch of mods which aim to cover some of those areas. And the first of those is a mod by the name of Tavern Games, which includes a bunch of mini games inside inns, but for this video we're of course focusing on the card game. And even more fitting, there is also a reskin for said cards to turn them into those special collectibles from the first Witcher game. But besides Gwent, there is also one other Witcher pastime we should introduce, and that is contracts introduced by the mod Missives, whose notice board also comes specifically with a Witcher retexture, and this provides small side jobs and contracts which can be obtained in each major hold in the game. Next we're going to focus on crafting with Honed Metal, a mod which allows you to commission crafting and upgrades from blacksmiths specifically, where you can order a crafting commission of a weapon or armour, and in a day or two's time said blacksmith will send you a letter to collect. But next we'll turn our attention to the horses, with SC Horses, a mod which directly replaces the models with those from The Witcher 3, which allows us to travel to our next 3 mods, all being different unique fortresses scattered amongst Skyrim. The first is Blackthorn Keep, a medieval gothic themed keep designed to offer a dark and highly unique fortress and surrounding thorned area to explore. Next is the fortress named Coldstone Keep, fittingly half buried in snow on the Dawnstar coast, which contrasts directly to our last fort. Emberstone Keep is a rift-based location which, although is smaller in scale to the previous 2, is no less beautifully designed. And now we finally approach the final mod of this world section. Headhunter Bounties Redone is a mod which completely overhauls bounties on both humans and creatures to require proof of your kill. This means upon slaying your target, you must either capture and escort them, or bring back a trophy of your achievements in order to prove that the bounty was carried out. And for the most part, that's going to conclude our world systems and activities that will populate our Witcher landmass. But we're still not quite finished with transforming the look and theme of our world. Holds, the city overhaul, is a mod which is absolutely massive in scale, and it's very well deserving of its title. It completely redesigns all of the major and minor cities across the game, making them much more populated and realistic. Holds also goes as far to remake and add brand new interiors for each of the cities it affects, with hundreds of new named unique NPCs, who have set schedules and roles within those areas. So in order to give you a preview of exactly what this mod entails, we're going to take a brief look at the most affected cities. Folkvangr has been hugely expanded and redesigned in order to bring a more medieval and lower class feeling to this woodland settlement, while also bringing it more on par in scale with some of the larger cities in the game. Whereas Dawnstar has lent into its coastal shipping port roots more heavily, by creating a city which looks like a fishing town frozen in the north of the province. Even further north lies Winterhold, a city that is often referred to as being once grand and great before falling to ruin in the ocean, and its new design sets out to reflect that aspect. Yet deep in the swamp of Solitude's shadow sits Morthal, a city which is now slightly expanded while also giving it a new architectural style, which portrays an icy swamp village with its Nordic Viking tones more accurately. Holds doesn't just stop there though, it touches on each of the other major holds in the game, giving its cities more areas to explore, new NPCs, and a more unique design. Weapons are also a huge part of the Witcher games and show, and for now we'll take a look at some unique standalones, however there will be many more featured in a mod at the end of this video. First we have Tamu75's Witcher Steel Sword, which is also the one you've been seeing Samson wield thus far across the course of this video, as it's in my opinion one of the most well designed standalone weapons to have been created. Next we have the Witcher Greatsword, a mod which takes inspiration actually from the Witcher TV series in order to give you an excellent two-handed weapon fit for any experienced Witcher. Geralt's Dual Swords adds 2 new unique weapons to your game, one being a steel sword for killing beasts and humans, and the other of course being a silver weapon which is intended to slay both monsters and undead. And finally is the Hunter's Crossbow, to provide a small, quick ranged weapon which resembles that which was used in The Witcher 3. And as far as unique standalone weapon mods are concerned, that's going to cover them for this video. Next, we're going to take a look at some mods that offer new systems in order to make the experience closer to the Witcher games. Vitrium adds a bunch of crafting and accompanying mechanics to your game, obtainable through a new crafting backpack, and fittingly includes the Witcher's famous weapon oils brewable for each creature type. The first is the Undead Oil, which can be applied to any weapon in order to give you a temporary damage bonus against undead enemies. Alternatively, Vampire Oil can be crafted in order to help you fend off against many of the deadly vampiric enemies in the game. But humanoid species are also covered too by crafting the Hangman's Venom, which will allow you the upper hand for a temporary 5-minute interval after application. For regular beast creatures such as wolves, bears and sabercats, Beast Oil can be applied for an increase in damage output. And finally is Dragon Oil, which will increase your weapon damage for a similar period of time. But the mod doesn't stop there. It includes a whetstone to apply the new sharpness mechanic, and a hammer for toughness. Temporary enchantments can be applied using fire, frost or void salt. Soul gems can be crushed and transfused to dispose of leftover lesser variants, and injectors can be crafted to restore and boost your magicka for a time. Next, we have the Witcher race mod, which allows you to choose from a new race with varying stat boosts to fit Witchers. And additionally, you can also use the Witcher Eyes mod to further customize your character. For those who would just rather play as Geralt of Rivia, there is also a Geralt race mod, and there is also a few follower mods you can install. The first fittingly being Ciri, the second being Triss Merigold, and the third being Yennefer of Vengerberg. And there is also a Ciri child follower. If you yourself wanted a feeling of a voiced main character,
you'd not hit a woman, would you?
Interesting.
You can use the Ciri player voice pack.
Let's see.
And the final two mods of this segment is the Witcher main menu mashup replacer, and finally Witcher fast travel, a mod which restricts fast travelling to only be accessible at signposts around the roads. And finally, with those and all of the other mods thus far, it's now time to move on to our last mod to finalise our Witcher transformation video. The Witcher's Adventure is a huge quest, creature, spell and weapon pack that aims to bring Skyrim one step closer to the monster-filled world that the Witcher games are set within. It covers a variety of areas and makes changes to both Skyrim's overworld and also its own new world space, in order to give you a playthrough long experience to engage upon your Witcher journey. So let's begin by showing you the changes and additions to the overworld. Sign stones are now dotted around Skyrim, and after each is meditated upon, they will allow the player to obtain magical Witcher signs to cast at the cost of stamina. They can also be upgraded and switched to alternate sign effects later down the line. But they're not the only changes to Skyrim's landmass, because additional creatures such as Neckers and even Wraiths are encounterable too, along with the series of necrophages such as the Witcher-styled ghouls and the Witcher's infamous Drowner enemies. Furthermore, as a Witcher you now have access to a new skill tree which comes with perks to unlock as you gain XP, which go hand in hand with both Witcher signs and a new built-in toxicity system. New alchemy ingredients have been added, harvestable through the new plants or from new creatures, and a massive number of new swords have been implemented directly from the Witcher games. But the main focus of this massive mod is the new world space introduced, designed to let you explore the abandoned keep of Caer Fendar. And after you clear it out and unravel its mysteries, you can partake in a playthrough long quest, which will allow the player to hire staff and rebuild the fortress, returning it to its former glory, and acting as a player home and hub world for your Witcher character we've built using all the other mods in this video. The Witcher's Adventure and every single other mod in this video work to completely transform your experience in order to give you a fresh new world to explore, new creatures to fight, and a more fitting and satisfying gameplay experience that will let you re-experience Skyrim in a way which incorporates one of gaming's best and most beloved worlds. And that, ladies and gents, is going to conclude this video. Before you bounce, there's a few important things I want to touch on. Firstly, I've recently revamped the Patreon due to popular request from you guys to include a written setup guide for this and other future appropriate videos, along with my full Skyrim mod list, which will update every month with the changes I've made. And I also want to give a huge shout out to Mumi Dari for allowing me to use her Witcher themed music, which you can hear playing right now. So help me show some love to the people that make videos like these possible, and head over to her channel, which will be linked below, and subscribe and say some nice things. And the final thing to mention is I've recently partnered with Apex Gaming PCs to bring out my own line of gaming PCs, which are made to have the same specs as the one I both game and edit on. So if you're in the market for a PC and want to ensure you can run modded Skyrim, then head over to my page in the description, pick between one of 3 PC tiers, and use code BURNS at checkout for 5% off. Which, to be fair, can be a decent amount when you're paying for an expensive item like a computer. But other than that, I want to give a huge thanks to you for watching. This video admittedly took longer than it should have, but hopefully I'll have more for you soon. And this video will likely mark the channel reaching 100k subscribers, so I'll provide more info on what we're doing for that soon. But until then, I'll see you in the next video. Take care.